And a good Sunday morning to you, Texoma. I'm Daniel Armbruster. Welcome to First News Forum, and it's a beautiful Sunday morning, and we have Senator Jay Paul Gumm here with us this morning. Good morning, Senator.
Glad to be here.
Big topic. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but a big one today is the tax-free weekend, back-to-school tax-free weekend.
One more day to take advantage of it. Of course, any item of clothing or shoes with a purchase price of less than $100 is sales tax-free in the state of Oklahoma until midnight tonight. So it's a great opportunity for families to save some money, for retailers to get a little bit farther ahead as we go into the back-to-school season. And at the end of the day, it's going to be good for families, good for the state, good for retailers. This was good policy, and I'm very glad we were able to get it passed about 2.5 years ago.
And it's been around for 2.5 years. How successful has it been?
It's been extraordinarily successful. The event has worked exactly the way those of us who fought so very hard for it said it would. We had to fight people who said this would cost state government money, it would cost cities and counties money because they would lose this revenue. The facts never bore that out. In every case of a state that has adopted a back-to-school sales tax holiday, you actually saw revenues increase because there was greater economic activity and people would make all their purchases. They would fill out their shopping list, buying things that weren't necessarily on the tax-free list that is available from the state tax commission. So it boosts the economy all the way around because you've got people spending more money on items they need. They have more money in their pockets to spend more on items they need. The first year, it increased state revenue $6.4 million because of the increased economic activity, and it's just continued to go up. And we expect to see it do well this year. Of course, with the economy and the difficult times it is, it'll be interesting to see how much it drives it up, but we know it's going to drive up revenues.
And I guess talking about the economy right now, this is a good year, I guess, for families who maybe have fallen on hard times or mom's having to work a few extra hours. I guess this is a great incentive for them to, you know, if they need to get back to school stuff, then now it's time to do it, right?
And a sales tax is one of those taxes that hits those families hardest who have the least. And so taking it off those necessities like back-to-school clothes and footwear really is going to give a boost to the families who are struggling the hardest. Those middle and low-income families who really work hard every month just to make ends meet. With a sales tax, and Oklahoma probably is overly dependent on the sales tax, it creates a higher effective tax rate for those at the lower end of the scale, because when you total up the total tax burden from somebody, those at the high end of the scale spend the same amount of money on necessities as those at the low end of the scale, but they have more disposable income. And when you figure in income taxes, property taxes, and sales taxes, because of the dependence on sales taxes in the state of Oklahoma, what you have is a higher effective tax rate for the people who can afford it the least. And that's why I fought so hard to get the back-to-school sales tax holiday adopted, and another reason that I'm going to continue my fight to try to get rid of the grocery sales tax in the state of Oklahoma.
And I don't know all of the items that are on that list. I know that some people have said they think there should be more. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I'm for putting as big a holiday as we can on anything resembling sales tax because of that very reason, because it hurts people at the lower end of the scale the hardest. This year there was a couple of bills out there that made it almost all the way through the process that would have included school supplies on that list. It's something that a lot of people support, but at the end of the day, with our budget numbers the way they were in 2009, this probably wasn't the year to do that, just like it wasn't the year to do the grocery sales tax. But as long as we're going to be talking about tax cuts, I'm going to keep fighting for both of those particular issues. I know Texas expanded theirs, but the items in Oklahoma are essentially items of clothing and footwear with a purchase price of less than $100. And some things on there that you wouldn't expect to be on there. Diapers, disposable diapers, are on the list. And if people have web access, they can go to the Oklahoma Tax Commission's website. If you Google Sales Tax Holiday Oklahoma, it'll probably take you there. And you can see very clearly what items are on the list and what items are not on the list. And also, if any people want to go to my website at www.gumm.us, I have a link on this week's Senate Minute column that will take you to that website with the Tax Commission.
And not to change subject real fast, but you're one of the more technical savvy politicians, I guess, that I've noticed in southern Oklahoma and around Oklahoma. You've got your Facebook, you've got the Twitter, you're pretty linked up. I mean, people can figure out what you're doing most of the day, right?
Well, I consider that to be part of the job.
Yeah.
When you take these positions, you, to some degree, become property of the public. And this gives not only a way for me to communicate to my constituents, it gives them a way to communicate back to me. I get Facebook messages, Twitter messages all the time. Matter of fact, earlier this week, there was a pretty good debate going on my Facebook page about the health care reform issue that Congress is talking about. I'd put up one of my statuses about how both sides in this debate are really missing it. It shouldn't be either a government bureaucrat or an insurance company bean counter that determines your health care decisions. It should be between your doctor and you. Well, and that started a pretty good debate going from some who were opposed to the health care reform package and some that were for the health care package. So it's a good way to stay connected. Facebook, my website, put YouTube stuff up. We will probably put this up on YouTube here before too much longer. I consider that to be part of the job.
Yeah, it's really neat just to be able to know, you know, what the elected officials are doing, and you know, people can follow you and figure out what you're doing and where you stand on certain things, and it's really cool what technology does. And I guess there was also other technology in politics, right? Well,
certainly with the campaign of President Obama, when he was in campaign mode, it really changed the way that those of us in public office communicate back and forth. I'm just going back to Twitter, I'm just absolutely amazed at the number of people who follow me, and then I've got a couple of my colleagues who I'm absolutely amazed at how much information that they put out there on Twitter. One of my colleagues, Senator Clark Jolly, a Republican from Edmond, who is a friend of mine, and another one of those techno-savvy senators who they're in the new electronic toy in the world that he doesn't get a hold of, from iPhones to you name it. He'll put where he's going for dinner on a given night on there. There comes a point where it's too much information. I don't think the people that I represent really care a heck of a lot what I'm having for dinner on a given night, but where I'm going to be for a public meeting, what I'm going to be talking about, where I stand on particular issues, those are things they do care about, and they have a right to know those things. And that's why I do everything I can to take advantage of every piece of technology possible to keep the lines of communication open to my constituents. And of course, high tech in politics will never replace completely high touch. You've got to be at the bean suppers, you've got to be at the donut shops, and you got to have the opportunity for people to look at you face to face and tell you what they think and ask you questions. And that's an important part too.
Yeah, and I noticed, because I'm also one of your friends on Facebook, and I noticed that I knew you were going to be at an event that we were covering before we got there, the Walmart that opened in Medill the other day, and it's just so amazing just to keep track of whatever people are doing, I guess. But
again, it's just part of the job, and that gave, you know, any of my Facebook friends or Twitter followers who happen to be in the Marshall County area who wanted to have an opportunity to come and visit, they would know I would be there and have a chance to visit. Earlier this week, we had a similar situation at the donut shop in Kingston. I had a very good group of people who turned out wanting to talk about a number of different issues. Not sure how many of those were there because of the Facebook or Twitter postings, but some of them were. And it gives that opportunity to have that face-to-face, back-and-forth contact. And I always like to say, if you don't know where I stand on a given issue, you just haven't been watching very carefully, because I'm not terribly bashful about it. And again, I think that's part of the responsibility of the job.
All right. Well, thank you, Senator. And when we come back, we'll talk more with Senator Jay Paul Gumm. Stay with us.